Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and today we're playing the blue-black tempo deck that everybody loves. This deck fights very hard for its wins, and everything is fair, incremental trade-offs, basically. You're trying to slow your opponent down with Wasteland, with Daze. You're trying to take their best card. With Thoughtseize, we've got one of those in the main deck. We've got another in the sideboard. And you're trying to just gradually stick powerful threats that can win the game. Psychic Frog, Tamiyo, Nethergoyf, which can sometimes get as big as 5-6 with this deck and can sometimes be like a 3-4 by turn 3. And then we've got Murktide, which is the closer. We're playing a full 3 Nile Spell Bombs. This does feed the Nethergoyf, and it is just like incidentally very helpful. Like I've gotten paired against Dredge a lot of times. They're like, what? How do you have so many Nile Spell Bombs? I like Nile Spell Bombed Dredge like 3 times in like a game 1, and they were just like, no, I'm supposed to always win game 1. So having these has been like a huge edge, I think, in the format, and it's really not that bad. Like you draw one, you just pitch it to Psychic Frog, just like your Redundant Daze is, your late game Thoughtseize, anything like that. Psychic Frog is basically just your garbage disposal and turning dead cards into value. Speaking of value, unlike last league, I did remember to put the Undercity Sewers in my deck, so we do have a little bit of selection that comes free with our fetch lands. It doesn't come free. Sometimes this will be in our opening hand, and that's a really bummer. We have Tamiyo, who is often going to be our alternate win con. Just like if there's a stalled out board state, she is the best thing to have on the table. Let's look at the sideboard. So as I mentioned, we've got a second Thoughtseize. We've got Long Goodbye, which is just really good right now with all the Psychic Frog running around. We've got a couple Bowmasters. I don't think these are main deck material right now, but they are really good sideboard cards in case you get up against a control deck or another Bowmasters deck. We've got Shoot the Sheriff, which is just another kind of like janky black removal spell, which isn't even really a removal. Nowadays with all the Reanimator, like I consider Plow and Prismatic Ending to be real removal. This is like black's best imitation of removal. We have Nethergoyf, which is just solid if you can stick them. We've got 2 Harbingers and 3 Consigns to deal with the Eldrazi Menace. We have a Force Negation in case we turn queue into like turn 0 combo, which we frequently do, and a couple Hydroblasts, which you can't underestimate red. It's probably the strongest color right now. With that, let's launch into the league. As always, we're going to play a full 5 rounds. Leave comments with any feedback you have, include a timestamp, and I will personally read and reply to every single comment left because I just want to get better. And if you catch something that I miss, that's like super duper helpful for me. If you see some sort of piloting error, if you just see like, oh, I noticed you kept attacking there, you weren't really the beat down there, you should have been hanging back. Like any sort of feedback you have is super helpful, not just for me, but for everybody else who's watching these videos, because the point of watching these videos is to get better. You're basically getting in a league by just watching me play a league and kind of deciding whether you agree or disagree with various decisions I made along the way. It's almost kind of like a mini rep. It's not the same as actually playing the league yourself, but it is helpful experience, which will give you a little bit of the imitation of the reps that you need to go and succeed at a big tournament like the upcoming North American Eternal Weekend tournament, which I will be at, and I will possibly be playing this deck, maybe this exact 75. So I'll see you in round 1. Round 1, we're up against an unknown opponent. We have a Brainstorm Tamiyo, plenty of land hand. I think this is a keep. Legion 935. Thank you for your services. I think I might have had, a bingo night over at your facilities. Seriously, that's just a joke. If you're in the U.S., you'll undoubtedly have seen like the different kind of like social clubs for veterans around town. So okay, let's jump in here. And it may not just be for veterans. I think Tamiyo with Brainstorm is so powerful that I'm just going to chill. I should have just played out the island. I should have played out a fetch because I could have surveilled there. Okay. Well, they're doing this now, which does show me that they probably don't have removal. So now I am going to cast the Tamiyo because they're probably just going to go. This is probably Eldrazi we're up against. Planar Nexus. Yep. We need to get our clock going. So we will be able to get the clue and Brainstorm Flipper, assuming they don't have like a Dismember or something that ramp decks don't usually play. All right, I am going to go ahead and play this land first before I attack. Oh, I shouldn't have done that because I could have ripped a waste. Yeah, that was bad. Uh, yeah, that was really bad, actually. Sorry. The league is starting off with a little punt already. Let's see if Wasteland is in the top 3. It's not. Okay. My pride is recovered. We don't need this much mana. I'd rather, I mean, as bad as Days is against a mana ramp deck, it's still better than having like land number 4 and 5. So let's go ahead and plus here. I do think it makes sense to go ahead and just ponder for momentum here. Because if we find a frog, that'll be dynamite. Also, these are cards that fuel a Murktide. This is an easy shuffle. We could, I mean, yeah, because we'd have to get 2 of these cards and we don't want the land. All right, we found the frog. There we go. We're frogging. And frog with Tamiyo is basically GG if you can ultimate, because you can just attack immediately. Because they did have the combo. Well, let's see how many Spirit Guides you play. Let's bounce this just in case they have like some Exile My Land or Wasteland or something. Follow up. Wow. Days. Holy cow. Days stopping a 4-drop. That is a good feels. All right. I'm just going to plus and frog. I could brainstorm and try to find a Wasteland. That actually does set me up for Murktiding next turn, which is practically as good as frog. Let's think about this. Yeah, if I find a Wasteland, it's so good. And I have plenty of things I can put back if I don't find a Wasteland. Oh, well, I'll take a double force as well. That's totally legit. Okay, so we don't need 2 frogs. Definitely not. We don't necessarily even need this land. Yeah, I think I'll do like that, and I'll play this out. I'm not going to crack it because I might want that land. Yeah, but there's a good chance that I'm going to be dazing something anyway, so I probably won't get a chance to play that before the game ends. Functionally, after Tamiyo goes off, the game ends. They can fight through it, but it's extremely rare. Ring 2. Micro Spawn. I can't stop the trigger. The body doesn't matter. Not if I'm murking next turn, which I think I am. I mean, Murktide's going to be freaking massive. Yeah, I'll just let it go. They're probably going to get another tower. I'm just glad they weren't able to kick it. I'll force basically anything they put on the stack here. All right. So Frog does give me murder. The subsequent turn deprives them of a turn step. Murktide is just like a much more stout blocker against this because it'll be so big that there's no way that they'll be able to attack in. So it may take an extra turn to kill with Tamiyo, but I do think Murktide is better because Murktide is more command resistant, but I do have double force. We know we're drawing another frog, which is a blue card, which is probably better than a random draw. But we also know we're not drawing. If we find a Wasteland, it's so good against that Nexus, though. I'm going to try to find a Wasteland. Let's see if we can high roll. At the very worst, we could, potentially put like an instant or sorcery in our graveyard. I mean, that is a land. Am I going to live dangerously? If they sowing micro spawn again, that's a problem. But this, yeah, I'm just going to live dangerously. All right. I think we just plus and Murktide. Giant Murktide comes in. We're going to go in plus. Got double force plus days. See what they can do. And they can exile our land, and it doesn't even really matter that much because we'll just draw a whole lot more land when we Tamiyo here. They're doing something end step. Crop rot. I think we stop this. I don't really care about Murktide 2. I'd much rather have a frog. All right. Not sure what land they would have gotten, but I imagine it would be like a Maze of Ith maybe. I don't think Maze of Ith is even good here because the Tamiyo is the problem, not the Murktide. I will be pitching frog and holding up days. Kozilek's command is going to get forced. Let's think about this. So what can they do if this resolves? I think we force and let's say they need exactly 6 mana for something. I'm just trying to think of what they could do here. Yeah, I mean, this could beat us even if we Tamiyo ultimate. So I am going to do that. It's desperation, but like Vexing Bauble is just an insane card. Ring is fine. I don't care about Ring at this point. So 6 more mana. If they can't get high enough, unless they played like another tower, I don't think they can get high enough. They can exile our lands, which is a bummer, but it's not the end of the game. They are playing around Daze. It'll be interesting to see what they get here. Okay, just more mana. Okay. Cloud Post. Okay, there's the 4 mana. See, this is why you force Vexing Bauble. And that's the game, basically. Okay, yeah, and they concede. They agree. Wow, that was fun. That was exciting. Yeah, and this is like one of those matchups that, like, if I was playing blue-white or Esper, not sure that I would have won this. I probably actually, it might be an easier matchup, but like the cards lined up perfectly. If I was playing the Esper deck, the Esper Vile deck that Esper Tamiyo, as I like to call it, then I would just go get Harbinger of the Sea, and that would end the game. But we do have Harbinger of the Seas. We don't have 4 Recruiter of the Guards to find them, but we are going to bring them in for sure. We're going to bring in Consigns. I think Bowmasters is probably pretty good, considering that it puts a lot of material on the board in case they have Maze of Ith. Thoughtseize is quite good against their deck. Force Negation is not bad. I think Dazes come out for sure on the draw. Go for the Throat is pretty bad. I mean, generally, like if they're casting something, it's too late. You're screwed. We have a lot of cards we can cut. Actually, let's take a look. We're going to cut all our anti-graveyard stuff. I think we can cut our Fatal Pushes. Just like, none of their creatures. They don't play Elvish Reclaimer anymore. Is Barrowgoyf good? I don't think it is. I'm trying to think if there. I mean, Daze is probably actually better than nothing. As crazy as that sounds, like I think Daze is better than removal. Maybe I'll have to eat my words here. I've never seen them use their graveyard for anything though. All right, and they probably don't expect us to have Daze in, which is another thing. Daze does pitch to force, which these removal spells do not do. Yep, let's do it. And the reason I don't think Barrowgoyf comes in here is because like I'm never gonna have 3 mana if they are like on the draw. They're just too good at exiling your graveyard. Well, I guess I do need to get to 3 mana, but this is a snap keep. We are going to have to go into the danger zone and fetch an Underground Sea because Thoughtseizing them is an important early play. But between Thoughtseize and Daze, that is a considerable amount of interaction. We can't do anything about this. This is where having Engineered Explosives in the deck would be good. All right, so we're going to Thoughtseize away their Sowing Mycospawn. Or their One Ring. One of those 2 cards. I'm almost certain that those would be the most high priority cards. But we'll take a look at their hand. Yeah, that's a lot of Sowing Mycospawn. The good news is they only have 1 land in hand. But that doesn't mean they couldn't just draw Tower and suddenly, boom, we're dead. Next turn they're going to Flute. I don't know what they're going to name. They'll probably name Harbinger. That's probably the best name here. But Sowing Mycospawn, I still think is the get. I would love to waste that Nexus. So I think next turn is going to be Ponder and Wasteland. Once, okay, so this goes and it finds potentially, like, we'll see what it finds. Cloud Post. Okay, so we're going to definitely hit the Nexus. So the Nexus makes everything a locust, so Cloud Post immediately taps for 2 mana. Holy cow, such a good draw. I think I'm going to Ponder first just to see what I've got coming. Because I want to make sure I've got some other lands coming. At least 1 land. Force is dead. Tamiyo is too slow. I think we shuffle this. We've already got a Brainstorm. Yeah, and next turn we'll just Tamiyo and hope that we draw a second land. They may get to a point where they're actually cracking the bauble, which would be insane and fun. There's the Cloud Post we knew about. Another Wasteland. Well, I think here we might just go after the green. I'm going to go through the Cloud Post. Because like the bulk mana is what we really need to worry about. And now I'll just Tamiyo. And then next turn we can Brainstorm. Even if we don't find a land. They do have probably at least one Wasteland in their deck. So we are kind of in the danger zone still. I will resist the temptation to sing that. Yeah, that's fine. Are they going to name Wasteland now? After I've wasted them twice? Oh. Tamiyo doesn't have any. Oh, yeah, I guess the actual Planeswalker. Yeah, I guess you can name that. I hadn't thought about the fact that you can name the backside of her. Okay. I think here we do want to go after the tower just because it represents like so much mana if they get unlocked. I'm kind of worried about that actually. Like I shouldn't have no. Let's go ahead and attack first. I do need to find another land. I'm not going to waste if I find a land because then I can just Harbinger and in that spirit, it does make sense to draw a card here manually and then next turn. Let's see, how dangerous is this? Because they could find a planar nexus. They are tapped out. I think we're okay. We have hardcast days. I'm just going to chill and then I'll crack the clue and step. I want to draw some extra cards off Brainstorm or like see a couple extra cards. Okay, there's their Wasteland. That is scary. I have a Spirit Guide coming out. Okay, so they're casting it. They can't kick it though. We could just daze it. I don't really care about the body. I can't stop the trigger. The trigger is going to go get probably going to go get Planar Nexus. This is the last card in hand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to crack this clue to draw. Like I need to get to another land. If I can get to another land somehow in the next two land drops and just stick Harbinger, nothing they're doing is going to matter. But Jukabog, I don't care. Not in the slightest. It does stop. So I can see the perspective of them, like wanting to stop me Murktiding, but like I'm so far away from Murktiding in terms of mana. Yeah, so that sticks. I mean, we could die to this. Like I always make light of the body, and then eventually sometimes I do die to these, but I'm gonna stick to the plan. Yeah, that wouldn't have helped because we wouldn't have been able to draw that land, please. Oh yes. Oh yes, and we had the force to protect it. I mean, we're exposed. I think I'm just going to go ahead and get the Underground Sea here. And, I should have gotten the swamp. Oh, I couldn't get a swamp with that. Never mind. Okay, I'll stop beating myself up for imaginary grievances. Imaginary faults. Yeah, so we don't have this, but we are in a very strong position here. With the force does not technically protect, but I think that they're likely to crack Vexing Bauble before too long. They're waiting for a minute. Are they conceding? Here we go. I was mentioning the American Legion post 935, home of the free because of the brave. Anybody who's watching this, if you're a veteran, thank you for your service. I'm just curious where this is located. Man, that is like the most American looking car I've ever seen. Very cool. Yeah, it doesn't actually say where it's located. But I presume it's like an actual, let's see, events. Bowling, Taco Tuesday, Burger Wednesday, Wing Thursday. They've got like awesome stuff for vets like every day of the week. Like, I wish I was a veteran and like, I don't know. I'm saying that, but like the affinity, like all my friends who are vets, they just have like so much affinity and they love hanging out and stuff. It seems like a really chill, kind of like community to be a part of. Anyway. Another land that doesn't do anything. You love to see it. I will be so much happier once I have mana up to protect. Okay. They're going to try to race me. Well, I can attack for 2 each turn. I'm going to go ahead and just do this now. Just to see what is up there. I need to be careful not to flip Tamiyo since she doesn't have any abilities. These are pretty bad. I mean, we could bounce this back to hand. We can't cast any of these cards. I think this is a shuffle. Okay, another day is not the worst. Let's get an attack. And end step, because they don't really do anything at instant speed, we should be able to consign. Well, if they have a card in hand in step, then I'm not going to be able to consign because they could have Kozilek's Command, which we will need to stop. It's worth noting that they do have 5 land out, and that's not nothing. Like, they can actually cast spells like on rate, just paying normal amounts of mana. I'll feel a lot better if they actually play a land, though. Okay, they didn't. So I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to be patient. We are losing the race. I can't brainstorm without flipping her. I'm just going to attack and be patient. We will eventually draw into something to deal with this 3/3. I'm much more worried about Kozilek's Command just completely breaking this game open for them. Because if they somehow manage to get out of this, we're in deep trouble. I'm not going to counter Vexing Bubble number 2. Okay, they're cracking. 2 unknowns in hand. Karakas, which is good when it's an actual land and not an island. All right, we'll take it. And we are going to be able to crack a clue now. So everything's coming up Millhouse. This is just like we wrote it up. Another force, which does not help us. Another Tamiyo. So I think we can go 1 deeper. I could actually flip Tamiyo off the Brainstorm and then just play another Tamiyo. That's not the worst. Yeah, most of my win cons in this deck are black cards. So I actually really should have kept that Brazen Borrower, because that would have been like a win con. Right, let's go ahead and Brainstorm here. Okay, more cards that we can't do anything with. I will play out the land though, so that way I don't have to discard. Let's put a Tamiyo on top. Play out a land. I'm going to play a second Tamiyo to chump. And I will pass. And again, we're in a situation where we can't crack the clue. Yeah, dealing 3 damage every turn is a lot more than dealing 2 damage every turn. Yeah. I still think we just take it and use our life total as a resource. Well, I'm trying to think. There's a reason. I'm just going to play another one next turn. Okay, yeah, we're just taking the damage. All right, we're at 4. Okay, so I think we can start by... man, I really want to find... I'll just hold the Brainstorm, and I can Brainstorm in their end step safely and crack a clue. I will have already thrown Tamiyo under the proverbial bus by that point. What card are we discarding here? I think we discard a Daze. Seems... Well, Daze is actually castable. We're only 1 away from being able to hardcast these forces. Yeah, I'll discard Psychic Frog. I will be amazed if we're actually going to play Psychic Frog this game. And I am going to block just in case they have like some way of dealing in damage. It sucks. And there's no reason to save her since we already have that Tamiyo. What I probably should have done is just... so now I can crack a clue first. And now I can Brainstorm as well, just to get a little deeper in the pile with our mana. Okay, Force Negation's good. Murktide, that's what we needed. Okay, we'll just win with Murktide. Okay, and we found a land, which is nice. So I'm going to go ahead and just play out the Murktide now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Blue. Okay, and now we have a wall at the very least. We have Force Negation up as well, which is notable. So let's attack with that, and I'll pass. And then they've got, I think, 2 turns before they're dead. I'm not going to bother playing out the Tamiyo. I just want to maximize, like, be able to crack a clue and consign. One Ring is a card that we can counter here. Force Negation just cleanly counters it. I think that's fine. And then I hold consign for something that has triggered abilities. Is that the correct thing to do? I think so. Force Negation is actually more flexible. So maybe I should have held that and just used the consign there. Okay. That's great. No instep stuff. Okay, I'm just going to hold up force, and I'm just going to attack. So I've got force, I've got consign, I've got double daze that can be cast alongside a consign. Yeah, that's it. We'll pass. They can attack again if they want, but they're dead on board. Cracking Pobble out of desperation. Of a Spirit Guide. Crop Rot. Oh, I didn't really think about the fact that now I'm going to have to block. Yeah, that was kind of sloppy. I'm trying to think of what they can get here. I think we let this go, and then we get whatever they get. We stop the next spell. Because they've got 2 cards left in hand. We have to stop whatever that is. Okay, they conceded. They didn't have anything to answer. So just playing patiently, using our life total as a resource. This is not a favorable matchup by any means, I think. But having Harbinger does make it a little bit easier. See you in round 2. We're up against the coin flipper himself, Harvey Dent. Let's see what they're likely on. This seems like a pretty strong hand. We're on the draw. So a likely Reanimator player, which is, it's good to look them up, right? Like people are always like, oh, when you look at people up, it like ruins the surprise. Well, they're on a crazy degenerate combo deck. So that does make me wonder if we should mull for a force so we're not just dead. Go for the throat gives us some, insulation. If they Atraxa, maybe we can somehow catch up. I mean, like it's unlikely. All right, so if they don't entomb here, we might be okay. If they do, we're probably dead zoos. I think the play here is 100% just waste them and hope they don't have the combo. And I will wait until upkeep to do so. In case they have like Stifle or something. That way they have to use their mana for that turn. It's a very small optimization. If they tap it, then I'll just waste it. Oh, okay, they didn't. So they don't seem to have Entomb. All right, they're brainstorming. That's what I like to see. Now their deck does play a very, very low lane count. All right, they did find land number 2. They're not cracking it, so I think we keep days up, and they could have a wasteland of their own. All right, they are fetching. If this is Entomb, I will daze so fast. That's fine. So we'll waste that next turn. We just have to try to run them out of land. I mean, if they find like a troll, they have about the same number of mana sources as we do with the trolls. Oh yeah, they've got a second land too. Okay, what is this? Frog? Well, I'm going to attempt to daze this. I think at this point, knowing that look at how blue our hand is. If this fails, we're going to need to be able to push it. I am kind of tempted to not even use the daze here and to just push. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And I could have surveilled there. But we'll, if they counter our fatal push, then we'll daze that. Another Nethergoyf's a good pickup. So I'm going to play this out, and I'm not going to mess around. I'm just going to go ahead and push it now. And then if they don't daze, then we have the ability to waste them. Okay, great. And I'm just going to waste while they're tapped out. And I'm going to hope that they don't have a wasteland of their own, because that would be absolutely devastating. And I will go after this one just because it represents them being able to surveil. And surveilling with their deck means potentially putting, an Atraxa, Atraxa, however it's pronounced, into the graveyard. Yeah, they've had more land, and they have another frog, which I'm going to attempt to daze now. I'm not hopeful for this daze succeeding. They have a daze of their own. Okay. We tried. We're about to get frogged. This is the nature of being on the draw here. We haven't seen anything that suggests that they're actually on Reanimator instead of just what we're on. But so the best draw in the deck is probably a land. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and Goyf, and that at least makes them have to jump. Goyf will be a 2/3, which is not super duper huge. Is Goyf better than Tamiyo? I think it is. It's like a very minor thing, but Goyf has the potential to get bigger. Yeah, we're in a tough spot though. We've kind of answered everything they've done up to this point. Had we dazed earlier when we had the opportunity to do so, they would have just dazed back. right? No, wait, we had mana available. So we could have dazed, and then we would still have the Fatal Push in our hand to deal with the second frog. So there's an argument that we are being punished for just not doing what we should have done there and daze anyway. Like the second Fatal Push, the only thing in their deck that Fatal Push hits if they are on Reanimator is Frog, though. It's worth pointing out. Whereas Daze can stop anything in their deck, potentially. Oh no, they're going to know about all our secrets, including that we have double Daze. Likely going to take our Go for the Throat here. There was no option to double Daze because we only have one land. Next turn, we're going to be pondering for a land and, hopefully hitting them. They may take Ponder. I don't think that would be correct, but they could do it. I mean, like, Go for the Throat, I will go all in on my Dazes to get this frog off the table at this point. If I have a second land. But I have to have a second land to cast Go for the Throat. This is the kind of compressed Magic that I expect to play at Eternal Weekend, by the way. If you're considering going to Eternal Weekend, this blue-black tempo deck is very good because it can do a lot of things like quickly. A lot of people have these ideas like, oh, I'm going to play, bank control or something like that, right? Like, you're not going to have time. I have a ton of trophies. Like, I won tournaments with like, or at least 1K with Beanstalk. And I think Beanstalk was a great deck until Frog got printed and until Eldrazi and all this stuff. And now the format's way too fast for that stuff. So that's one of the reasons why this is a good deck right now. We don't know what they have, but we do know that we have 3 more Fatal Pushes in our deck that we're drawing to. I'm going to Island, Ponder. These are not Fatal Push. I wouldn't mind drawing more land here, but I'm just going to shuffle. Nethergoyf number 2 is not bad. We can maybe erase them. The other option is to play out Tamiyo, which they will maybe kill instead of Nethergoyf. If they daze this or counter this, let's see. So Tamiyo does block Psychic Frog. I kind of feel like getting their life total low is how we play. Because they do have Reanimate in their deck likely. And we know they have at least one Thoughtseize. They are doing some damage to themselves. And, 2 Goys is harder to race with a Frog. Obviously, they can just keep their Frog back and Turtle. And there's nothing we can do about that. But most players don't do that. Most players do attack. There's also the benefit of one Nethergoyf eating the other, basically, and getting bigger. So they are disincentivized from killing either of these now. They are attacking with the Frog. Oh, it wasn't flying? That was really dumb. I could have blocked, but I think it would be a mistake to block there because I don't want their, okay, they are discarding anyway. Okay, wow. They're willing to really go in on this Frog. I mean, those cards that they just pitched are not cards that I would pitch. I would not be pitching Force Blue card right here. Unless they know something that I don't know, which they have 4 cards in their hand. So I presume they know some stuff that I don't know, but those are cards that can be put back with Brainstorm. Like the moment I grab a Fatal Push, it does not matter how big this Frog is. It's going down. If I find a Brainstorm, I'll probably Tamiyo with the hope of... it's unlikely that I'd be able to successfully defend it. Force of Will also, the other thing that they have to worry about now is Murktide. If I'm Murktide, it's going to be a 7/7, and they're going to have to pitch a lot of cards to Frog to be able to face that. If I draw my own Frog, they'll almost certainly have to counter it, and when they do, it makes my Nethergoyf bigger, and, I wouldn't let them counter it with my Double Daze hand. But, them dropping to 6 would be, super consequential. Please Fatal Push my Goyf. If they reanimate a Frog, that would actually be really scary. By all means, Thoughtseize me. The fact that they're Thoughtseizing and taking a daze just shows you when they have 3 lands, shows you the... they did just take a daze. I think I'm going to play this out. I'm going to go ahead and attack. I should have played Tamiyo first. Tamiyo, potato. They're 1 turn from death. I'm going to go ahead and Tamiyo first. Now I'm going to I can just go to their upkeep like I did last time. I don't think they have any three drops that they can cast at instant speed here. I mean, they might be able to flash in like a borrower or something now, but they're kind of incentivized to hold back now. If I attack with both, I'm going to attack like this because Tamiyo can't be blocked if they want to survive unless they have like a lot of interaction here. Okay, what are they going to do? That is totally okay. I'm trying to think, like if I find a Fatal Push here, now that I've created the clue token, that would be good. Borrower is great. I can't cast it this turn, but I can cast it later. I could just float a Tamiyo out there now that this one's flipped, just as something to interact. I think that's okay. So I'll put back Psychic Frog and I'll put back Borrower, which is like the thing I really need to resolve. They have to discard here if they want to kill my Nethergoyf. They don't. Okay, interesting. That's such an interesting play. Why wouldn't they try to kill my... Okay, well, I'm trying to think of what they could do here. They could discard like an Archon and then reanimate. And so I do want to be able to fight a Daze. I'm just going to chill with the Tamiyo. I've got a lot going on here. But Archon could still win. But they need animate, like discard Archon, animate dead. And if they had Archon in hand, why wouldn't they discard it there, you know? Oh, this is another random note. I think I was talking earlier. Oh, Into the Flood Maw. Okay, gift. Gift a fish. Return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand if a gift return. Okay. They definitely could have done that before she flipped, and then they wouldn't have to give me a fish. The fish is not nothing. I mean, that's more material that I can use to block or attack next turn. This is going to be dazed. I think this is the one. If this is bait, it's very good bait. So now they'll have to organically come up with a monster that they can put in the graveyard and a reanimation effect. I presume they have some sort of reanimation effect, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Okay. Sorry, before I got distracted, what I was going to say is I do think that I think Long Goodbye is Long Goodbye. I can't remember what to bring in here. We don't have the fourth anti-graveyard card that we would normally have, but we do know they did show us Untomb, so we know they're on that. Nethergoyf is pretty good in these blue-black pseudo mirrors. I think Thoughtseize is pretty good against their deck. I think we'll bring that in. But on the draw, I don't know. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure how you board against this deck. I think Long Goodbye just is an additional way. I think Shoot the Sheriff for sure. There's definitely an argument for Long Goodbye. So what will we be pulling out? Probably Force of Will. I mean, it sucks, but like going 1-for-1 against this deck is no way to play. Like or like 2-for-1ing yourself is no way to play. So what I was going to say before I got interrupted and then like interrupted myself by myself is this deck is, if you want to get good at Magic the Gathering, if you want to get good at Legacy, play Tempo. Don't play the deck they're playing, because the deck they're playing, like you've got these powerful effects that like kind of like smooth over play errors and bad habits and things like that. This hand is totally cold to Wasteland. Does not have any sort of it doesn't have the Spell Bomb, which is what I'm really looking for here. It doesn't have removal. I think as strong as it looks, like I would be like, whoa, this is insane. But actually, I think it's not a keep. This hand is double removal. It has the ability to go get a basic swamp. We can just put back the Nethergoyf and draw it later. So yeah, I think that was a disciplined mulligan, and I'm glad that our deck didn't screw us on that, because sometimes it does. Now, I'm just going to waste this and hope that this was going to go, like, this was their way to turn on Troll. They kept the card on top of their deck, but I don't think they would keep if it wasn't a land. We can deploy Spellbomb next turn. Yeah, I'm going to do this. It may be inadvisable, but no tempo was lost. They didn't get to use the mana. Now Spellbomb's a sick rip. If they Thoughtseize me, I'll be really sad. And that would be an argument for just playing that out. Island can't cast Thoughtseize. It can daze Spellbomb. It can't cast Entomb. Our hand is so black that I'm tempted to just go ahead and Thoughtseize them. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. They're not going to, with blue mana, they're not going to be able to both Entomb and Reanimate. Our opponent is burning a Brainstorm rather than dazing us. They may still daze us, but I would love for them to daze us after also using Brainstorm. But they have ensured probably an imperfect Brainstorm unless they have Troll. They have Troll, Khazad, Doom. They can still shuffle away those two lands or whatever they're putting back on top. All right, show me your secrets. All right, so they have Atraxa in hand. They also have lots of cantrips. Entomb, which... So the problem is if they draw and for all we know, they could have hidden a frog. We can kill a frog, but not before they put Atraxa in the graveyard. Well, we're obviously not going to discard Atraxa and do the job for them. I think we take the Entomb here. It's the, broken tier card that I hope gets banned. It was banned for a long time, and I hope they ban it again. It's making for very unfun play patterns. I love Frog. I don't want them to ban Frog, but I know they're going to ban Frog instead of banning Entomb. Write your Wizards of the Coast representative. Yep, we're dead. Basically. They don't have the reanimation effect now, but they do have the Graveyard Atraxa whenever they want it. Okay, please give me a land. We know they don't have days. Okay, well, I think we don't know that they don't have days, but we are going to push this, and we're going to hope that their other card isn't a reanimate, because if it is, we're dead. But I think that this is a better recipe, for success than Nile Spellbombing here. Just because this connecting, maybe I shouldn't have pushed here. Yeah, we knew that was going to happen. So the question is, okay, did you draw the reanimate effect? You have 1 turn window to reanimate that before I stick my Spellbomb. And I would love in the comments if, results-oriented thinking, of course, I shouldn't have done what I did. That was really dumb. But if they don't find a reanimation effect, we're still fine, and we're not getting hit by Frog, which was at least 2 life and them drawing a card. And one of those cards could have been a daze. And I knew that they didn't have daze because Frog was their draw for turn. So that was my window. Please don't have. Not like this. All right. Well, we probably lost. But this is just par for the course. I'm telling you, I'm going to be doing this all of Eternal Weekend. Why am I doing this to myself? Okay, so let's figure out what they have. Okay, so they played the Delta out. I think they cast the Brainstorm. So they have even more stuff they're going to do here. I wouldn't be surprised if they just... let's take a look what they brought back. Delta, Daze, Thoughtseize, and Psychic Frog. Okay. They're playing Show and Tell in their deck, which is crazy right now. I would not want to play Show and Tell when my opponents could have Archon of Cruelty in their deck. Took a Daze and a Psychic Frog. They didn't take Fatal Push. Okay. So I think this is what's in their hand currently. And obviously the Thoughtseize is being cast now, which we can't do anything about, which is probably going to take our Fatal Push, which is our answer to their Psychic Frog next turn. Not that that is the most pressing concern. And if we ever do, we have to draw a land and a Shoot the Sheriff or a Brazen Borrower. Or so we've got 4 outs that we can draw, but they have a Daze in their hand. So, and they took our Ponder, which is kind of a questionable... I don't know. I guess it makes sense. Yeah, long goodbye. Okay, we lost. Yep. Had we stuck the Spellbomb, okay, so let's be fair to ourselves. Let's be fairly harsh on ourselves. They didn't know what their top cards were, right? They had a Psychic Frog, and then I think they brainstormed. Was it Brainstorm number 2? Yeah, Brainstorm number 2 is what ultimately probably found them the removal. So they could have whiffed, but they had 8 ways to reanimate. So I think what we should have done is we should have gone ahead and cast the Nile Spellbomb, and then they don't have a window in which to jam. They get to draw a card off Frog, and it's potentially a Daze, but at least our Nile Spellbomb is in play, and it can shut off one of the reanimation effects, one of the 8 in the deck. Not including if they're playing the Maniac, the Fanatic, Metamorphosis Fanatic. Okay, so on the play, I think we actually go up with Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is pretty good at just taking apart their AB combo. I'm I mean, are we ever going to win a game where one of the monsters resolves? I don't think we are. So there's an argument for pulling out the spot removal. Yeah, like that's one of the reasons I don't like playing blue-black tempo and why I'm playing the white deck is like with the Espervile, I routinely just grind right through an Atraxa or through an Archon, and I still win those games. You can do that when you're playing Solitude and Force of Will. You can't do that when you're playing Fatal Push and Go for the Throat. Sorry, just to be clear, when you're playing Solitude and Swords to Plowshares. I may have said Force of Will instead. Okay, so I think this is how I'm going to play it. I do still like Nethergoyf. I mean, Nethergoyf, also the problem with Nethergoyf is it's like a very scary thing if they reanimate it. Maybe we do this and we board in a Bowmasters just as a way to close the game a little faster. Because the way we win is we close quickly. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think Nethergoyf is not as good in this matchup. Yeah, I'll do that. So this way we still have all our removal in. We're still pretending that we have a chance against like an Atraxa or an Archon. I mean, it could happen. I can't remember a game in which I've won once they've gotten one of those on the table, but maybe it's happened before. Okay, I like this. I like it a lot, as Forrest Gump says. I think we open. I want to underground sea into Goyf. So Joyful Waffle likes to say that like people aren't going to wasteland you if you have a Nethergoyf on the table because you already have pressure. There is risk there. But it gives us both of our colors. Murktide might be relevant. This does give them a window to daze our Spellbomb. But if they're dazing our Spellbomb, our Nethergoyf is getting another attack in. They're mulling to 6. Yeah, I want to have daze online for sure. This hand is very frog resistant. It's also graveyard resistant. This is a really good hand if they don't have Wasteland. They play 3 Wastelands. We'll see. All right, let's see if Joyful Waffle is correct. All right, they didn't waste me. I mean, we're not doing anything next turn, but I do want to be able to defend this Nile Spellbomb. We won for one and they mulligan, but we were on the play. I think we go ahead and brainstorm and we pray that our deck doesn't do it to us. That thing that it loves to do to us. Well, nice knowing you. I think we're dead. This double Spellbomb is great though, like in all seriousness. But if they waste us, we're just in the proverbial toilet. We're in the sewers. And not the undercity sewers that give us mana. Don't do it. I will daze literally anything they put on the stack. I'm not going to daze a cantrip. I'm sorry. I'm not going to literally daze anything they put on the stack. I think it's fine to let them brainstorm. Selection is not that scary. They may very well be lining up their Wasteland for next turn, but that's a next turn problem. I am going to go ahead and stick a Spellbomb now that they have their mana before I stick my Goyf. That's cowardly. I need to stick the Goyf. All right, leave a comment with the timestamp if you think I should stick the Goyf or the Nile Spellbomb here. I think I'm going to do the Goyf. Because how do we win this game? We beat them down. If they have a daze, they're going to daze my Spellbomb anyway. That's how I'll live with myself. Hopefully they daze this. Okay. Well, we still have our daze up. If they do like an instep in tune, we are going to attempt to daze it. Okay, that's good for us. Dark Ritual into the graveyard. Yeah, I forgot. They're playing some weird, janky combo version of this. Ponder's fine. Yeah, I mean, they may not even be playing Wasteland. I think we've probably seen Wasteland at some point, though. But if they're playing cards like Show and Tell and Dark Ritual, like, why would they be playing Dark Ritual? Are they Doomsday? We've seen a lot of weird stuff in this deck. I'll tell you, folks, like, just go pure Reanimator. If you're going to be a degenerate and just play the S tier deck, just play the S tier deck. Don't try to, like, come up with, like, a slight brew of it that is, like, less good to try to, like, try to save your own soul. You are a spike through and through if you're playing that deck. It's not, I can't imagine how it's fun to just play a deck that just, windmill slams, what are they called? Bane drifters. There was this thing like a card shouldn't be both a Baneslayer and. Okay, so we could definitely Dark Ritual this, counter this. I'm not sure what they're going to cast here. I'm going to let them. Okay, Entomb. If they have Reanimate, I'm going to kick myself for not doing anything about this. They do have the Reanimate, and they are getting Arcana Cruelty back, and there's nothing we can do about it because I'm a dum-dum. Yep, that's the game. Sorry. Yeah, it didn't occur to me that they could be Dark Ritualing to, yeah. Let's see, what are we discarding? I think we can discard a Spell Bomb, which does feed Argoyf, if we ever actually have a Dwarf on the table again. I think we just lost this, though. And it may not have come down to that decision. They may have just dazed back. We're drawing a dead card, though. And we're dead in 2 attacks. Yeah, there's no hope. I'm going to concede. Because even if we draw, like, we need to draw a land and a removal spell for this, and we're not going to draw those across 2 turn spells. Like, this kills you very quickly. 9, we discard a card, and then they draw a card as well. So, yeah, that was just like bad play on my part, frankly. I had the tool to be able to stop that, and I chose the Nethergoyf instead, thinking that with days that we needed to be aggressive. It's certainly possible that they could have just like borrowed it back, or that they took like a show and tell line or something that they didn't even use the graveyard. But yeah, I do think my play in retrospect was sus. I certainly think not dazing the Dark Ritual was a mistake. Now, let's think about that. Had we dazed the Dark Ritual, the next turn we would have attempted to play the Nile Spellbomb. And then it wouldn't have mattered that they had Entomb Reanimate. All right. Postrata. So basically, one way to look at the matchup is, I'm actually excited to play this matchup. This is what my hero, Andrea Mangucci, plays. He's my Magic the Gathering hero, and I also think that like if I could hang out with any Magic the Gathering player, he just seems the most joyful because he's always like eating all this awesome Italian food and always seems like he's in a good mood. Okay, but he's definitely a type player, and this is what he plays. I'm not sure that he plays like Inquisition to Kozilek. No, it looks like this is actually Depths. It's not like it's like actual Dark Depths. It's not like a creature-based deck because they're going in on Reclaimer and Durance. Okay, we have a Wasteland. We have a Force. Seems like a really strong hand. I'm going to keep this. Now, they may not be on this, but this is just a good general hand. Against an unknown or likely combo player, I always keep Force of Will openers. All right, so I don't think they have anything to just straight up execute our Nethergoyf. They do probably play Wastelands. Okay, maybe they don't. I think we can open. I think next turn I'm gonna Tamiyo. So I'll just go ahead and Nethergoyf now. It's just the next one. Doesn't do anything. But it can start attacking pretty hard. Maybe that was a mistake because Tamiyo would have immediately cracked a clue. This is going to name Wasteland. Can we win if this resolves? I don't think we can. We really do need to be able to waste them. Yeah. It feels bad to counter this. Let's think about this. We don't have any sort of exile base. We have Brazen Borrowers. We have 2 of them in our deck, but we have to draw one. I think the safe thing to do is just hit this and start attacking them with Nethergoyf. We can Brainstorm here, which I think is more powerful than getting Tamiyo online because the game could be too short for Tamiyo to be consequential. All right, that is not a good draw. Here's what I'm going to do. Let's see. Could they actually kill us next turn? So let's say they Vampire Hexmage. They can't. Not with their opening. I don't believe they can. So I'm going to go ahead and just Surveil here to boost the toughness and power of the Nethergoyf. So that boosts it 1, getting the land in there, and we dodge this other land, which we don't want. Now we'll attack. Okay, Mox Diamond. So they could, conceivably kill us this turn. There's the Dark Depths. Interesting they discarded it. So that may mean that they have another one. There's Vampire Hexmage. So now they can play the Dark Depths and kill us. Yeah, and we're dead. So I didn't think that they could kill us that quickly, but that Mox Diamond does make a big difference. So we have exactly 1 draw to find Brazen Borrower, or technically we have 2 draws because, okay. Let's start by brainstorming here. If we find Brazen Borrower, we're dead. All right. We don't really have good tools against this. Like, again, this is just like a weakness of black is they can't deal with these indestructible creatures. But like my Esper deck, just like, it's like a 90-10 matchup. Like, it's just not even funny how powerful it is to have like Solitude and Plow in your deck against that deck and Wastelands. Because it's basically this entire deck plus some other stuff because the Yorion deck. Okay, so Long Goodbye doesn't destroy anything, unfortunately. Shoot the Sheriff doesn't destroy, like destroying doesn't do anything. Lifelink does buy us turns, and it's actually probably the best thing we've got going on here. Harbinger is kind of dangerous because it can make their lands just really powerful. Like basically like they get a depth that doesn't actually die immediately, or like I'm sorry, I'm struggling to articulate what I'm saying. Harbinger makes it so that when depths enters, it doesn't enter with any counters, and then when they remove your depths, or when they remove your Harbinger, depths immediately triggers. Scary. Okay, so we're not going to need the graveyard stuff. That much is sure. So I do think the force was correct. It's just that I got greedy with Nethergoyf trying to deal damage, when what I could have done was, oh yeah, I think we need one of the second Thoughtseize, just in case we draw it in our opener. Okay, so cards we can cut. I think Go for the Throat doesn't matter here. I don't even think Fatal Push matters that much. Well, with Elvish Reclaimers and Endurances, it could matter. They're not going to be going after our lands at all, but if we have a Harbinger out, so I do think this is a matchup where we could shave a land, but shaving a land when you're also bringing in a Barragoyf is a little bit sus. I think I'll take out, I don't want to take out any Dazes, not on the play for sure. A lot of the deck is land, so maybe we don't want to take out the Thoughtseize, but Thoughtseize can snag some sort of like instant speed interaction. I think I just bring in one Barragoyf. I think that's the answer. All right. This seems solid, very solid. So what I like about this is we do have something proactive we can do in Nethergoyf. We also have a Thoughtseize. So if we lead on Nethergoyf, we're doing 2 damage at least right out of the gate. I like that. I think I'm going to go Underground Sea into Nethergoyf and then Nexternal Thoughtseize them. Because like we do need to be proactive with this deck. This deck, tempo decks are weaker than other decks. Like the reason they're weaker, the reason they're good is because you're kind of trading like card advantage and like having, mediocre cards, frankly, Nethergoyf, in your deck instead of cards like, Stoneforge Mystic. You're having those in your deck, but they do stuff immediately. Okay. And that is a Daze, for sure. That's a very powerful card. I'll be sad if they Spirit Guide here. Okay, they don't have it. Good. All right, and now I am going to go ahead and Underground Sea, Thoughtseize, and then we're going to be hitting for 3. So we've already got a Flip Delver. Very strong, and it can only grow from here. I mean, I say only, but like I don't think they have Graveyard Hate in their deck. They're like a combo deck. Okay, so they have a second Reclaimer. They have an Endurance, which is a real pain if they actually resolve it. They can do tricks with Endurance where they shrink our graveyard at instant speed, but I think the Reclaimer's the take here for sure. Hexmage I'm not worried about. Like I've already outgrown it. Yeah. I don't want to have to burn a force on a 1-drop. I'll happily burn a force on a Endurance later if it means like winning a combat situation. Okay. Thoughtseize is totally chill. They're doing damage to themselves, which I like. So again, their hand currently, they played that out. That's gone. So their hand, we know deterministically, is Echoing Deeps, Vampire, Hexmage, Endurance, neither of which they can immediately cast. Next turn, they can have Echoing Deeps be a Verdant Catacombs. I'm liking the pressure we're applying. Right, I'm going to start by pondering. If I find a second Thoughtseize, that's good. Okay, I think Harbinger is actually insane here. Fatal Push, obviously good as well. So I think we take the Fatal Push now. And let's go ahead and attack first. Oh, I should have Tamiyo. Actually, there's no reason to Tamiyo. We know exactly what's in their hand. We can just Tamiyo afterward. And I do think Tamiyoing is correct. The scariest thing they could do is just untap and drop the depths, but there's nothing we can do about that. They have like 1 turn window to basically destroy us. Okay. So it's entering tapped, which is great. So we don't know what they drew, but I'm willing to bet that this is going to be good. I am going to do this before combat just to force them to make decisions. Okay, we win. So this is a good card against them. This is like the second or third time I played against a depth player, and they have conceded when we resolve this. So that makes me think they're not playing a lot of removal, but they might board some removal in. Let's see, in their main deck, assuming they're playing this, they have basically 0 removal spells. In their sideboard, they have Abrupt Decay, and that's it. They have 3 Abrupt Decays. I like our configuration a lot. Daisies do get worse, but they're still pretty decent. Like Nethergoyf just, it seems really slow because like they're applying so much pressure. I mean, do we really need a third like 3-drop in our deck? I like Long Goodbye just being able to deterministically kill. Well, it doesn't matter actually. Go for the Throat is better because they're not gonna be able to interact. Well, actually, they could get like pro stuff, but that doesn't stop it. It's just uncounterability. This includes wardability, but it doesn't stop protection from black, which is what they'll do. They'll instant speed go get Sajiri Step and protect their creature that way. Yeah, they have Sajiri Step. All right, so I guess that's the substitution I'm going to make. Hopefully we can apply enough pressure. I do like having the 2 Brazen Borrowers. Like a lot of lists only play 1, but it's really good precisely for these kinds of matchups and for Urza Saga matchups. Borrower is just a solid Magic the Gathering card. This has Tamiyo, it has Fatal Push, it has Wasteland. I think this is a keep. It sucks to be on the draw with but we are going to be doing stuff immediately. I almost think we probably open Tamiyo instead of Nethergoyf here. Let's think. We're not really drawing to any big sideboard cards. I do like having the extra mana with Tamiyo. Yeah, let's keep. All right, Urborg. Thoughtseize. Okay, that's unfortunate, but they are going to see our Wasteland. So now they can play around Wasteland. And I think, sadly, we do have to play out Wasteland as our first land. Just because they have the ability to, do stuff. Now, Dark Depths itself taps for mana, so they can just kill us. Basically, Hex Mage into Depths. And there's not a lot we can do about that. So this is a necessary precaution. Thoughtseize is a good pickup. What do we want to do here? I think playing out Goyf first does give us some ability to do stuff. I'm just afraid of dying. They could have instant speed crop rotation or something. I guess there's no point in playing out that land. I don't think they play Wasteland. I should have played out the Underground Sea because anything will tap. I could even play out the island. Anything will tap for black. Okay, so they are going to crop rotation, it looks like. Or what are they doing here? There's the crop rotation. Okay. They've got a black floating. Not sure what that means. Does it mean we're dead? Why float a black? They may have some instant speed creature like an opposition agent or something. Which is not going to be very good against our hand, by the way. Yeah, I'm really puzzled why they're doing what they're doing. But they did turn off black mana. Urza's Saga. I'm not really worried about that. I could waste it with the ability on the stack. I do think that maybe they're trying to bait me into wasting it. But this is a very wastable card. I think they might be going for Bowmasters. Now they don't have the mana for Bowmasters because I did it with the ability on the stack. Okay, I don't know why they were floating black there, but I'll take their 1 remaining land, and we're in pretty good shape. They can play Echoing Deeps out as a copy of Urza Saga, which is strong. The reason to play Urza's Saga, by the way, is not only does it create constructs, but it goes and gets Pithing Needle, which is very important because everybody's playing. Yeah, it's definitely going to copy Urza's Saga here. So if we find another Wasteland, I feel like we'll almost certainly win. Oh, yeah, that's a good card. But we do have it covered. All right. Wasteland off the top. All right. So I think we just... I'm going to fetch while I can. I'll fetch an Underground Sea because I do worry about Opposition Agent. Yeah, they do play 3. Let's go get the Underground Sea here. I am going to get rid of this immediately. It's too strong, too dangerous to survive. And I'll play Nethergoyf. And hopefully we'll do some damage. It's a 4/5. It's big enough that it can tango with like their gear that's going to come out of this thing. They are going to have to invest mana every turn in it too. There's a stage so they could potentially copy it, and that's very dangerous because they can have new Urza Saga constructs every single turn. So far we've had to use all our mana, so I haven't gotten a chance to surveil. That's excellent. See if we can find... We found it. That's really good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by attacking. See if they create a construct. If they create a construct, that will be them tapping out of being able to create a construct later. They're just going to take the damage. That's fine. So now I play this. I wait to the end step. They're going to have to create it, and then I just hit the stage. And they're going to be able to go get like a... What is it called? That searches for a land expedition map. I think that's probably what they'll get. They might get Pithing Needle, but I've already wasted them twice. So I am going to set an upkeep stop, and then if they don't do something here, which they definitely will, I'm almost certain they're going to either copy this. Okay, they're creating the construct. I don't care about the construct. Do I care about the search trigger? Do I care about the stage? The stage does represent that any live draw or any search effect. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hit it now, and I'll just pass. They can have a construct. They can have 2 constructs. Well, actually, they won't be able to get the second construct. Not unless they have a Elvish Spirit Guide as their draw for turn. That's a cool looking construct. They have a 1/1 creature. Not super scary. There's the expedition map I told you they were going to get. I definitely think it was correct to hit the Thessalian stage. Okay, they're going to crack it. They're probably going to get a Dark Depths because that's their namesake card. Yeah, they get it. They have Depths in hand. I don't remember if they played out the that fetch land. I think they may still have a fetch land in hand. All right, so they can chump for a turn. That is one of the weaknesses of Nethergoyf. Oh, this is insane. We can unlock our entire hand. Nethergoyf number 2. Thank you very much. I definitely don't need these. I'll just take the fetches. I'm going to play this out. I think we go ahead and surveil just in case we can surveil. I don't think there's any type that we can still surveil into our yard that's relevant. That is a great top deck. And then I'll just play with this Nethergoyf, and then we'll attack. And they have just a couple turns to assemble the combo. They're probably going to block here. They're not going to block. Okay, well, this does get bigger if they somehow get more constructs in play, but that would take several turns that they're probably not going to have. All right. So they opted to play that rather than the depths. So they did still have that earlier. I didn't misremember. Okay. I think we go ahead and attack first. And if they have like a Bowmasters or something, they'll like, I do kind of want to wait to cast this Brainstorm just in case like a Bowmasters would be such a blowout here. Okay, they're blocking. Abrupt Decaying the other one. That is totally okay. So one of them dies. I'll just bring it back. I can both Brainstorm away some stuff and bring it back. Let's see. We have creature, instant, sorcery. Yeah, so they'll still be pretty big. I'm going to do this now. I should have technically not done that because if I draw Wasteland off this, I will want to play that, but I didn't draw Wasteland. I'm just going to put these lands back. I mean, this is like, none of this is particularly relevant, but it's probably better than land. Now I'm going to go fetch. Get an Underground Sea. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, I'll get an Underground Sea. And we're going to go boom, boom, black. And we're just going to bring Nethergoyf back. Let's exile land, instant, sorcery, creature. So it does get smaller, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, they're fetching here. Interesting timing on that fetch. Okay, and I'm hoping that Daze can play a role here. Hexmage. Oh, Hexmage does give them the win. Let's think about this. Is there anything we can do here? We've worked really hard to get to this position, but I don't think dazing is not going to accomplish anything here. We should probably hold it in case they have like a crop rot. We can play Tamiyo out as a chumper, but they can just, go get. Nothing I can do about that. Now they have their giant indestructible monster in play. Again, this is just a structural aspect of the deck. I don't think we've misplayed to get here. If you think so, please leave a comment with a timestamp. Okay, so now we're drawing wild. Psychic Frog's a great pickup. So we technically have two different things that we can play out. The question is, they can just give it, if their last card is like a crop rotation or something like that, they can just give it pro blue, and there's nothing we can do. The main question is, are they going to attack into our Tamiyo or our Psychic Frog? I think they're almost certainly going to do so, but is it smart for us to attack with Nethergoyf? I don't think it's necessarily smart to get the extra 3 damage. I mean, technically, one Nethergoyf buffs the other one. I'll just do that. I'm just going to attack because we do need to be doing damage here. By putting Tamiyo into the graveyard, we would do more damage. So maybe it would have been correct, but they're still going to be dead next turn if they attack, and we've got double blockers, so they have to have the exact card. Elvish Reclaimer is fine. It doesn't immediately answer this, but it does next turn. Are they going to put us in the abyss? They didn't even attack. So Elvish Reclaimer is going to basically be lethal. So this next draw has to be really good. That's a really good draw. So I think what we do is we attack with both Nethergoyf and Psychic Frog. They have to block 1. They'll probably block the frog and go to 1. Yeah, I'm going to do this. And then we still have Tamiyo up to block. We can bring another Nethergoyf back. If they block it, I think I'm probably going to bring it back no matter what, because then we have 2 threats. And they can't hang back. I will discard this to do a little more damage. I do think the additional damage is going to matter. What do we draw? Brazen Bar. Brazen Bar. Okay, so I think we just bring back a Nethergoyf. Yeah, one Nethergoyf will eat the other. Nethergoyf, land, Fatal Push, Brainstorm. Wait, does it have to eat the other? Let's see. So we've got land, instant, sorcery, creature. I think we have higher creature count. I mean, we'll have a creature next turn anyway when we attack, so I think it's okay to feed one Nethergoyf to the other. I want to keep the Thoughtseize around. I don't think they have a way to gain life. Okay, so we're doing instant, land. Oh, we have to do sorcery. So I'm just getting confused because I'm a crazy old man. All right. Let's do, wait, we already did land. Yeah, we have to feed the Nethergoyf. All right. Done. Nethergoyf's back. It will be a lethal Nethergoyf next turn if they attack. Okay, so they're going to come in for an attack most likely. No? Okay. All right, so technically they're not dead. Okay, now they're probably dead because we can pitch. Yeah. They may have endurance, but I'm not going to play to that contingency. So I think they're probably going to block Frog. And then if they just have endurance here, that's too bad. All right. Do you have endurance? We win. Whew. All right. That was surgical. But yeah, that's how you got to play it if you want to be able to win this matchup. I think it's probably an unfavored match. But just putting the damage on them, turning the screws. See you in round 4. We are up against an unknown opponent on the draw, round 4. This would normally be a keep, but they could very easily be on combo. So, Anan Gomu, you're the guy that hosts the YouTube channel of the same name. I am indeed. Okay, now I'm less thinking they're a degenerate combo player because they watch my channel. Like, combo players are probably off watching the Epic Storm or Tony Scaponi. So it does make me a little more likely to keep this. It's a good hand. It's not a terrible hand. I think we keep it. It's a Days on the draw is not super strong. Undercity is on the draw is not super strong. But if they are on some non-combo deck, like, I'm going to feel pretty. They said they appreciate the content. Let's have a good game. But they are mulligan. So maybe my initial suspicion is Gomu means what does Gomu mean in Japanese? It's like trash or something. Gomu. Oh, it's a devil fruit. Is this the one that Luffy ate? The Gomu Gomu? Yep, that's it. The Gomu Gomu fruit. He in the English version, which I watch with my kids because they don't speak Japanese. We watch the English dub one, which has great voice acting. He ate the gum fruit. Okay, that's such a relief. Floodus Strand, a player after my own heart. All right, and I think we don't really have a good turn 1 play. Like, I do think Undercities is fine, and if this baits a force, that's fine. That when I say baits a force, I meant baits a waste. I'm just having a word salad up in here. Yeah, so it's not going to get wasted now that I showed them that I don't want my verdant catacombs. Okay, and they're just sewering themselves. It's a perfect place to take a bath. That actually looks like a relatively clean sewer. It's got those spikes, but those aren't stalactites. They're not naturally occurring spikes. It's not like, the fecundity of the room is, dripping down. All right, basic land, respect. Psychic Frog. Well, we are well set up to fight Psychic Frog. Not on the stack, but our removal spell can fight on the stack. In my humble opinion, you almost always want to clear your opponent's Psychic Frog first. Also, by doing this, we dodge days. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. I don't like to wait and let them untap because they could draw, relevant interaction. If they force to protect this, which they should, I mean, it's generally a good practice. Oh, so they're on Reanimator, unfortunately. So we probably lose. Yeah, we probably lose. It sucks. Okay, and even if we do somehow manage to find, let's see. I'm gonna keep my mana up just in probably a vain hope that they cast a 2-drop reanimation spell and we can daze it, and we have mana to pay for their days. But they may not. They may be disciplined or wait, or they may have a third land. They have a third land, but it's a tap land. Double sewer. All right. And our opponent is passing. They're being very disciplined here. I definitely agree with that play. Do we do the desperate in-step brainstorm? No, we do not. We're going to ponder and we're going to find a freaking Nile Spell Bomb. That's what we're going to do. Let's do this. Come on. Force does stop what they're doing for sure. Fatal Push is very good. Like, these are all great cards. Oh, Nile Spell Bomb is what we need. I think I put back... I mean, we do have Tamiyo Flip as well. But I feel like with Double Frog, like, do we really even need Tamiyo? We just need to survive for a turn. They're low on resources. It's quite possible that we can successfully fight the Atraxa. But if they get to reload, we're screwed. So I'm going to put Push in the pile. Tamiyo is higher priority than Push. Because, like, our frogs can't outmuscle their frogs for sure. If it comes down to it. We're just going to chill with all our interaction up. And we're going to see if we can fade craziness. It would suck to have to fetch away both the Fatal Push and the Tamiyo. But, okay, so this is what I was talking about. We have to stop this. Do I put a Psychic Frog? What are the odds we're going to be able to double daze them? If they do something, we could get in a situation. I only need one frog. If they have Force Blue card, they just had our number. If they have to like Desperation Brainstorm, that is mana from heaven at this point. Yeah, they did have Force of Will. Okay, so I think what we do here is we just brainstorm, Desperation Brainstorm. Maybe they interact with our brainstorm somehow and that turns on days. That'd be great. No point in grabbing basics at this point. Let's spin the wheel here. Yeah, we're dead. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. I feel like we played tight, but yeah, Reanimator gonna get you. They're gonna lose a lot of life, but it shouldn't matter. Like they have lifelink. I'm trying to think if there's any merit to playing it out even. They're down to one card. We'll see. They might have the worst Atraxo flip of all time, but even then, we still have to deal with this thing. And I am glad I kept. Like, I feel like the keep was fine, and we had ample cantrips and everything to find a Nile Spellbound, which there are 3 in our deck. We just didn't get there. They flipped some seriously good stuff here, like pretty much everything. They're going to get a full smorgasbord, like probably 5 cards here. At least 4. Yeah, I think they get 4. Wasteland is not great. They might take the Delta. They'll probably put the Metamorphosis Fanatic back. It's good to know that they're playing Metamorphosis Fanatic. They got at least 2 in their deck. Not everybody's playing that, but I think it is correct to play like 2. But again, I don't play the deck. I refuse to dirty my hands, sully my hands with Reanimator. I've always just disliked the archetype. Thoughtseize, Delta, Metamorphosis Fanatic, Brainstorm. They did keep the Metamorphosis Fanatic, and they have a Brainstorm. I'm not going to give them any more information. Like at this point, they could easily conclude that we're also Reanimator, which if they watch my channel, they know I wouldn't play Reanimator. But yeah, like we haven't shown them any non-Reanimator cards. Yeah. And it's Aran Gomu. It's not Anan Gomu. Okay. So I think we concluded that Thoughtseize is really good here. Bowmasters, I think, is okay. Nethergoyf is a scary, like, if they Thoughtseize, reanimate that's GG. So do we really want to be the architect of our own demise? I don't think so. On the play, Force, I mean, it's like a desperation move. Absolutely a desperation move to Force. I think we cut it. And is there anything else we can cut? I feel like we just went through this, but it's hard. Because like basically their deck attacks on so many angles. The real problem with Blue-Black Reanimator is that they get away with playing so few giant monsters. Like if Entomb were not legal, they'd have to play like 10 of them to reliably get one into the graveyard. And they have to play terrible cards like Careful Study. But instead they've got like the tutor that puts it right in their graveyard exactly where they want it. Anyway, that is my wish. Like if I could ban a single card and just wave my hand and never have to see it again in Legacy, it would be Entomb for sure. And Sowing Mycospawn is a really annoying card too, but I don't think it's nearly as annoying as Entomb because it's not warping the entire format. Entomb is warping the entire format. And every time they print a new fatty, it just makes Entomb more and more powerful. Yeah, I'll leave Long Goodbye out. We have a lot of ways of hitting it, and I mean, there's the dream of killing, an Archon or something, and then somehow fighting our way back into the game. Shoot the Sheriff does hit cards like Metamorphosis Fanatic and Troll, which Long Goodbye does not hit. This is an exceptional hand, but is it enough to beat the S tier deck in the format? I think I'm going to keep it. And I'm sure there'll be people in the comments, oh, it's not that powerful of a deck. It's like a 50-50 matchup and everything. Like, I know that like the data may suggest that, but like that has not been my experience at all. Like I just continually get crushed by this deck. All right, so we don't have a good turn 1 play. I think the simple thing is just play out this Catacombs and Surveil. All right, so we're going to grab our Surveil land. Wasteland, not what we're looking for. Thoughtseize is quite good. There is a possibility that we Thoughtseize and then they... I do think Thoughtseizing the turn before we Frog is better because there are just so many things that can interact with our Frog. They could Entomb in response. I like having a land out just in case we need it. So let's Thoughtseize them. The other day, an opponent just pass without any play. I was like, oh, are they on Manaless Dredge? Nope, they were on this. And they just discarded a Reanimate, an Archon, and then the next turn they untapped and cast Reanimate and got their Archon back. And I was like so disappointed in myself that I didn't see that was what was going to happen, because nobody plays Manaless Dredge. Everybody's playing this, and just once in like a million games, it will make sense to not play anything and just manually discard a card. Okay, so the good news, they don't have a lot of combo stuff. The bad news, they're about to shred the hell out of our hand. So they don't have any reanimation effects. I still think Frog is the take just because that's the only proactive thing they can do with their hand. There's an argument for taking Brainstorm, but I don't think it's a good one. They don't have a second land. That's the big discovery here. If we take Brainstorm, they may never get a second land, or they may just rip a land, and then we just foolishly took out Brainstorm, and now we're facing Frog, which we don't have an answer for. Having my own Frog, though, I think it's, well, I mean, they have Frog covered so many ways. They've got it covered at least 2 ways. I think I'm going to take Brainstorm and hope that they, I'll take Brainstorm and we'll pass. We have our own Brainstorm if we need to, but like realistically, if they thought Thoughtseize, I'll probably just let it happen the first time. The second time, I might put something away, but Psychic Frog is dead. Like, we're going to have to work through all that removal. My biggest hope is that we can mana screw them. Okay, they milled a Metamorphosis Fanatic, so that was a very productive surveil there. My hope is that at Eternal Weekend, I actually don't face this much because people are just sick of playing with it, but that is wishful thinking. They'll probably take a Brainstorm, because taking the Frog doesn't make any sense. Okay, and they do have the land, but do they have a troll that they can use to get another land? They're just going to do it now, huh? Well, I mean, I could have all lands on top. I'm going to go ahead and Brainstorm. Okay, actually, this is not terrible. I can... Oh, they got a Frog coming. We could just put our protection and hide what we have. We're not going to be able to shuffle any of this away. The problem is... so we're not going to be able to keep them off Fatal Pushing our Frog. It's not really clear how we win, other than that we eventually draw into a Murktide. So I'm going to play that out, and I'm just going to put these on top so they don't see them. And then when they cast their Frog, so I am going to waste them still to slow them down, but it's not going to stop them. They'll eventually get another land. So their hand is currently Murderous Cut, Fatal Push, Frog. We have perfect information. So, or wait, not double Murderous Cut. I can't remember what the other card is. But I do know that they drew a Swamp for turn because they didn't have that last turn. All right, so we'll draw a card. I'm just going to waste them and we'll pass. And we're basically doing nothing for the next few turns. I probably should have actually put Shoot the Sheriff is more flexible. It will be really disastrous if they get in a situation where they can chain their Metamorphosis Fanatics, but that does happen sometimes. Okay, so they're not doing anything. We may have a window here to stick our beautiful Murktide, should we draw it. And that can close the game very quickly. Actually, Murderous Cut can kill Murktide. What am I talking about? Yeah, we need like a we need another Thoughtseize into Murderous Cut. Or we need to like do a multi-turn line where we draw a Tamiyo, hold her, wait till they attempt to kill her. They drew a land. So Frog is on the menu again. Frog is delicious, by the way. If you ever get a chance to eat like Sichuan dry pot, like the Western Chinese cuisine, it may sound weird, but it's delicious. And French cuisine also incorporates it, but like the Chinese do it the best. It's called Tianji, which is the chicken of the field. There's a Tamiyo, but we can't play her out. We just have to chill until we find a Brainstorm. And speaking of Brainstorm, I don't think we play this land out. There's no reason to play it out. They are probably waiting to find another land. Oh, they do have a second surveil land. They didn't do it there. I'm not sure why they're waiting with their Frog. They have no indication that we have any sort of removal on our hand. But this is precisely the situation where tempo becomes very unfavored when we're giving them a whole bunch of turns. I wouldn't mind finding a Nethergoyf here because they'd kill it and I could bring it back. There's the Frog. There's no reason to wait. I'm just going to go ahead and kill it. Every turn that I give them is a turn that they could draw a fatty that they can then discard. Nethergoyf. Precisely what I said I wanted to draw. So let's go ahead and just play it out. And next turn, they're likely to kill it, and I can bring it back. So they have 3 unknowns, and they have 2 removal spells, one of which I expect to be targeting Nethergoyf soon. Ponder. Yeah, you don't want them drawing cantrips this late in the game either. Again, if we can find a brainstorm, this Tamiyo becomes amazing. But otherwise, it's just going to eat, a removal spell that we'd much rather feed to Nethergoyf. Feed Nethergoyf a lead sandwich. He'll be back. Okay, they're just passing. Which is interesting because they're giving us the opportunity to draw a daze. Well, I'm just going to swing in. If they just take this hit, I'll be astonished. Okay, there's the push we knew about. I do think it would suck if Nethergoyf got dazed here, so I am going to go ahead and play out the land. Actually, I should do this and make it look like I have a daze in hand, because why would you do this if you didn't have a daze in hand? Keep the island up. So let's exile land, instant, sorcery, creature. It's going to be small, but it is back. And hopefully they'll use a second removal spell on it, and then we can start going to Tamiyo Town. Population 1 currently, but soon population a whole bunch of clues. There's the Thoughtseize. That's not what we wanted to see. It does damage to themselves. It also taps them out of Murderous Cut for this turn. But this could be clearing away for, a Reanimate on Frog or any number of things. Do they have a land? They do. Animate dead, so they're going to get 2 creatures here. This is disastrous. They stripped our removal. Yeah, and there's the Frog. And this is why we can't have nice things in Legacy, because Frog will be co-opted by combo decks. Sorry, also quit whining now. I'm going to start by a Ponder. Now Spellbomb does stop subsequent stuff. Unfortunately, Psychic Frog can get big enough that it beats Nethergoyf if they discard their hand. Hitting their graveyard doesn't even really accomplish anything here, unfortunately. Okay, I'm going to do this. Let's go ahead and play it out. Play this out. Does it make sense to attack here? I don't think it does, because I don't want to crack this Spellbomb just to get rid of a bunch of non-creatures. And if they do, attacking just doesn't make any sense right now, because unfortunately they have the ability to pitch 3 cards, and then this becomes as big as Nethergoyf, and they just gain a bunch of life, and I accomplish nothing other than popping my Nile Spellbomb. Also, if they double block, my Nethergoyf's definitely dead. And if I crack this, then suddenly that's my second card for the turn, and Tamiyo flips. I don't think I can attack. I think I have to hang back. And then I have the threat of killing their Metamorphosis Fanatic, which is not even really that big of a threat, sadly, because it'll just come back. They do have to exile cards to Psychic Frog if they want to give it flight. I don't know. I feel like super duper unfavored though. And this is one of the reasons that pushed me to white. The printing of this card, I'm just going to play white, and then it doesn't matter that you've got this reanimation effect, or any reanimation effects for that matter. I'm wiping your board. The only card in your deck that is relevant now is, Entomb and Frog, basically. That's and Entomb is relevant specifically because they get a fresh creature that isn't removed, exiled on the battlefield. But playing against this deck twice just makes me want to play some Esper and just roll these decks, because I do think that the Esper Vial matchup very favorable. It's a very favorable matchup. Reanimator is a very favorable matchup for Esper Vial, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, okay, so they cut here. No surprise. Again, it can come back. It's just too little too late, probably. Okay, so we no longer know any cards in their hand. Did they actually have 2 Murderous Cuts? I thought they only had 1. Well, that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I'm still not cracking my Nile Spellbomb. Cracking it would have been a big error, because this does represent countering at least one spell from them. 2 if they entomb to invest a creature in it. I mean, the sad thing is, though, since I've got literally nothing going on, I think I'm like drawing a daze or something, you know. I can bring back Nethergoyf. That's all I have going on. And they're going to be gaining so much life that they're going to very quickly put themselves out of range of a mere Nethergoyf. All right, let's go ahead and do this. I mean, could they have double days? I'm going to hold on to this swamp. I don't think it's correct to get rid of it. Go like that. And guess who's back yet again? I mean, that is not flavor text. Like, this does come up a lot. I think it won his ability to come back actually won us the game against Depths last round. And I mean, this does make them have to like kind of think about like, oh, well, now I have to discard extra cards to Frog and stuff. But like, this game is over. I can't remember what I'm drawing. I think it's like a land or something. I'm just going through the motions here because if there's even like 1% chance, like Reduke would keep playing, you know, and I want to kind of Reduke it. So they exiled their entire graveyard. We could block here and save ourselves some damage. I think that's a mistake. Because like knowing the deck, our opponent, probably a totally chill human being, but knowing the deck, they undoubtedly have like an Entomb and they're just waiting for me to pop this. And then they're going to attract us. All right, another Psychic Frog. Couldn't beat the first one. We're super duper dead. Like, this deck does not have a mechanism other than like its own frog to pull back. So yeah, good games, and thanks for your kind words, Aaron Gomu. Gomu pistol right in B Excellent's face, basically is what that was. All right. So we're going to go to round 5. We're currently 2-2, just winning everything except Reanimator matchups, which, you know, is good, but Reanimator is like 20% of the meta. So one of the reasons I'm practicing a lot is to get better at that matchup. This seems like an insane hand. Yeah, so our opponent's last recorded activity was them playing Rescam a year ago. So I think we're likely in for a rematch. They're mulliganing, which is good. So I'm going to keep Tamiyo as my as the dance partner for Force of Will, and I think I'm just going to open with Underground Sea into Nethergoyf and hope that they don't waste me. I'm only to 5. So the good news is this is an original piece by my son, by the way. If you can hear that in the background, he loves composing, and he's got perfect pitch. He's a 7-year-old kid. But like we've like invested a lot in his education. Perfect pitch can be acquired later in life. At least like it's not like 100% genetic because both of my kids have it and like I don't have it and I don't think my wife has it. You just learn it through doing like the do re mi fa sol la ti. All right, Marsh Flats. Therapy. This is not a card that people generally play unless they're playing Reanimator. They're almost certainly going to name Force. Especially because I waited for a long time there. But yeah, have at it. We'll see what they're playing. I mean, we're probably dead. They're probably playing... they named Psychic Frog. Okay. Let's go. All right, I'll take it. Like, is Psychic Frog more commonly played than Force of Will? All right, so this represents Surveil. I think we go ahead and fire off the Surveil just because we want to maximize the damage we can do. We don't have anything else to do. Tamiyo's not going anywhere. If I can Surveil like a creature or anything into the graveyard to make this hit a little bit harder, I will. Do I Surveil the thing they're scared of? No, I'm not going to Surveil that away. Yeah, I'll keep that. All right, we'll just hit for 1. Sorry, but Frog is just too juicy. Too scrumptious. Too delectable. When they ban Frog, I'm going to take my nice Japanese retro border frogs and sprinkle them into my my frog dish. All right, no plays. So they could be playing Daze. I mean, it's not beyond the pale that they could be playing Daze. My thinking here is if I Psychic Frog and they Daze, that means I can waste them because they're not going to be able to get a blue source with that. And I think that's a good trade because they're low on resources. And also, if Frog goes to the graveyard, it's not the end of the world. I think my opponent is likely on some sort of Death and Taxes type brew. They could have like a... they could have a lot of things here. Instant speed, like a Felia or something. But if they Felia, I'll just pitch something to Psychic Frog. Felia is really strong, by the way. I am going to play that out. But, I mean, what kind of Death and Taxes deck mulligans twice? You know? Could be like some sort of Mardu tokens type deck. Because that would play Cabal Therapy, and it's actually pretty good right now. Yeah. Sand Scout. All right, this is a reader. When Sand Scout enters, if an opponent controls more land than you, search your library for a desert card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, create a 1/1 red, green, and white Sand Warrior token. Okay, so does Wasteland count as a desert? I'm trying to think if there's like some desert that I don't know about. So technically I do control more land. Is this something I want to force? I think this kind of maybe is, because I'm worried that they're going to be able to create a token and then therapy my Fatal Pushes away. It feels so weird to force this. Let me take a look. Is Wasteland a desert? MTG. Okay, desert type lands. Okay, we got the Gatherer Search. Let's take a look here. There are only 37 of them. Let's just take a look at all of them real quick. So, Abraded Bluffs. So, Arid Archway, Return to Land Control. That seems bad. So, there's like several cycles of deserts. Bucolic Ranch. I'm so glad they didn't like errata Wasteland to be a desert. That would be so annoying if they could go get wastelands like that. Cactus Preserve. Because this is like a manland. Accursed. Cradle of the Accursed. You can create a black zombie. It doesn't seem that strong in Legacy. Then there's just a straight up desert, which is not Legacy playable. Desert of the Feverent. Oh man, will I be punished? Because if their desert goes to the graveyard somehow, then they get the token and they hit both of my Fatal Pushes, and that'll be really sad. Grasping Dunes, 1 tap. So like I think almost all these have an activation cost to sacrifice, but they are sacrifice cards. Sacrifice a desert, target player. Okay. All right, which of these deserts are they going to get? Because they are going to be able to get one, unless I just waste my own waste. If I waste my own waste, I stuff their ETB. I don't think that is terrible. Okay. So if they control more. Okay, well, I'm just going to waste my own wasteland. I know that sounds weird, but there's no legal target for it other than... Yeah, sure. You've got a Sand Scout. I'm not going to find out what desert you had cooking. Okay, and that resolves, and I'm going to push that if it gets in the way of my creatures. Oh, they have that. I didn't think about them just having another land drop. So, yeah, now they get the freaking thing. Yeah, now they can strip our Fatal Pushes, which they should do. Okay, and now they, of course... Yeah, so it was not a good play for me to do that, I don't think. Okay, so this therapy... Fatal Push seems like it's going to be more relevant than Tamiyo or... They're down to 3 cards. Is it crazy to force a Cabal Therapy? The other thing we could do is we could just put everything in a Frog. Well, I think I'm going to give them a dilemma. I'm going to pitch this to Frog, and now I only have 1. So do you name Waste now? Do you name Push, or do you name Frog? Or Force? We'll see what they do. I think they'll probably name Push. Yeah, questionable plays. Very questionable plays for me. They named Tamiyo. Okay. I definitely wouldn't have even thought of doing that because like Nethergoyf is bigger now, and Tamiyo, the only merit to her was, being wed to Force. Okay, and we drew something that we can use anyway, so this is fine. If they block, I'm fine with that. Okay, we're drawing. Now I don't mind drawing a wasteland, but actually like having more lands is kind of a liability if they're playing that card. I'm trying to think if there's any reason. If they have another fetch land, they get another token, but I don't really care about those tokens. Like I guess they do technically wall off Nethergoyf. I'm going to see what they do here. Okay, they do get a token, so that does stop my Nethergoyf. Another Sand Scout. This doesn't actually do anything, but like they are going to get 2 of these tokens, which is kind of annoying. I think if I go ahead and just push the other one, it feels like a really weak play, but then they can get at max 1 token when they crack this. Yeah. I can bounce the token too if I need to. I'm not going to force this. They don't get any value off it, basically, other than the token that they're going to get. They got a 1/1 Sand Warrior, which chumps Nethergoyf for 1 turn. But it does mean I have to fly the Frog, because I am going to want to connect with Frog here. Okay, and now they're walking into Daze, which they didn't know about. That is a very good Daze target. I do think I'll Surveil, because I'm not going to use this mana next turn. I'm going to hold Brazen Borrower for something scary. Okay, they have 1 card left in hand. I'm going to go ahead and play this out. I mean, we could flip a Ponder or something here. Yeah, I think actually I'm going to put that in my graveyard just to... Wait, I can draw it. I won't draw it until after I connect, but it will make up... Yeah, I do think it's worth drawing. It's something to do this turn. All right, so we're going to go to combat. I'm just going to get rid of some random redundant cards in my hand. Oh, wait. Let's exile. I did spend a lot of time reading that card, so I am potentially behind on clock. I'm actually behind by like 4 minutes, so that could be relevant. But I don't see myself losing this game. It is possible that their deck is somehow structurally favored against us just by virtue of having like tons of... Because we don't have any sweepers. We just have 1/4 removal. All right, now let's Ponder. These are all good cards. Force of Will is the least good. But actually, I wouldn't mind just pitching Force to Force. So I think I'll take it and hope that they don't rip another Cabal Therapy. That would be really embarrassing. Do they have another fetch land? Overlord can get back a Johnny. I think we say no. Now I am kind of thinking about pitching the Tamiyo, just because it's not going to be that relevant this game. We could flip it. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not terrible. I'll just pitch Force. I want to get good value out of my cards. There's the other Ajani, so I am punished. Not as punished as this Pariah is about to be when his brother disappears. Actually, he doesn't die. Does he die when he's bounced? I'm not sure if that triggers the dies. Okay. Does bouncing a token kill it? Switch zones. They don't die. Okay. All right, good. All right. I do think we probably still attack in. I mean, we're applying so much pressure, they basically have to block. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to bounce the token. This will force them to have an unfavorable block here, and then I'm not sure that I'm going to actually exile anything. Okay, it didn't flip them. I think they have to chump. Do I think connecting... do we have enough cards that we... different types? We don't. I don't really want to pitch this. Well, let's see. If I pitch a Tamiyo, then I can keep 4/5 power while exiling 3 cards and connecting and drawing a card. I think it's worth it. All right. So like hyper optimizing this game, but let's see, what else do we get rid of? The Force. Okay. Yep. And now we're doing a lot of damage. This is not a cat, so it's not going to flip a Johnny somehow. Okay, interesting that they're keeping the Sand Scout around. I guess that has like chump blocking potential. Okay, we drew another Tamiyo. Yeah, I mean, we're in a good position, obviously. They're facing lethal. They have to have a flyer. Okay. This is another one of my son's originals. Again, I'm not sure how much of it's coming through on the mic, but yeah, you may hear some piano in the background. This is very Baroque sounding. Okay, so I think Orcish Bowmaster is going to be good. They have Overlord combo, so they almost certainly have Felia. We did see... I mean, I think removal is the name of the game here. Shoot the Sheriff seems good. Nethergoyf is going to be great if the game goes longer. Nethergoyf just eats these kind of creature decks alive. I think Forces come out. It's not what we want to be doing here. Daze is also pretty weak against them because they have a lot of land. They even have like creature-based land acceleration. They're an aggro deck. Okay, so we can definitely cut these spell bombs. I don't think they're going to be relevant. Overlord is... I mean, you can technically stuff an Overlord trigger with a spell bomb, and it does technically buff. Yeah, I guess we keep these. Yeah, I'm going to keep them. We don't really have anything else to bring in. Let's take one last look before we ship. Maybe Thoughtseize is better than Daze. Daze feels pretty bad, and they're pretty inclined to play around it. We didn't see any red. I think they're just straight black-white. Yeah, Daze is pretty bad on the draw. I think I'm going to bring in the Thoughtseize. It's also a sorcery to buff Nethergoyf and Nethergoyf. All right, so cards that would be annoying would be like, this isn't completely destroyed by like Graveyard Hate. I don't think our opponent's going to bring in Graveyard Hate. I don't think it's correct to bring in Graveyard Hate against like mere Nethergoyf decks. This seems like an incredibly solid hand. They're mulling again. If they're mulling with a creature deck, wow. That could suggest like some issues with their mana base. So Warren, if you're watching this, like my humble advice, 19 lands at least. Don't go under 19 lands unless you're playing some crazy combo deck. Because creature decks, you shouldn't be mulling unless you're just incredibly unlucky, which is totally possible. So I hope I'm not casting aspersion through my insinuation that maybe the mana base isn't the best. Nethergoyf's a solid opener. I think we fetch into Nethergoyf. I'm not expecting, like, I'm expecting Wasteland and stuff like that, but I'm not expecting any kind of global non-basic hate. And the important thing this does is it does make Nethergoyf big enough to withstand a Bowmaster ping, which is important. If we just play out the Underground Sea, then it's not big enough. And I'm almost certain that our opponent's playing Bowmasters because they are playing Cabal Therapy. And Bowmasters and Cabal Therapy are like PB and J. They go together really well. Actually, I don't like jelly. I only eat peanut butter. I don't eat the jelly. Oh, please tap out of that Wasteland. Please cast some overpriced removal spell. Okay. Well, we would definitely... So if we kill this... One more other cats. Okay, so I'm just going to push Ajani for sure. I think I'm going to push Ajani and I'm going to ponder for another land. Nethergoyf is great. I think I'm going to start by pondering just in case I do find like a basic swamp or a path to a basic swamp. I think basic swamp is really strong here. I didn't find a path to a basic swamp. I found a bunch of stuff I don't want. I don't really like Murktide because they have Plow. It's not a bad card by any means, but it's not what we want to do. And Tamiyo also, I think, is not the greatest right now. I'm going to go ahead and just push this. And they did get a 2-1 out of it, so it's not like they got a bad deal casting this Ajani, but they're not going to get a Planeswalker out of it. Now my Nethergoyf is coming in to do what he loves to do. Gobble, gobble, gobble. I know it's early November. Is that too soon to incorporate the turkey? He does look kind of like a really renegade turkey. I love how he's got like extra ribs and he doesn't have any meat on those ribs. He would be like the worst BBQ target ever. BBQ, of course, being short for barbecue, which us Texans love. Apologies to any vegetarians in the audience. All right. Is this another one? Ooh, Overlord. Well, now Spellbomb is not going to be able to do anything here. They are going to be able to get back their thing. I don't think there was really a window. I do think it was correct to ponder there, knowing that they had Wasteland, just so we don't get in like some dire situation. They are going to hold back the Cat Warrior. So we're going to try to end the game before Overlord ultimates and becomes a 5/5, because that is pretty scary. We do have tools for beating that, but this is not one of them. I thought we fetched this away. I guess we just drew one. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to play out this Nile Spellbomb. Am I? No, I'm just going to freaking Bowmaster him. And then I'm going to hit. Like a truck. I think it was actually like a rock. Like a rock. Oh, baby, like a rock. It's like an old, I think Chevy commercial. Okay. Yeah, that felt great. That's what Bowmasters is all about. Now, they could have some sort of board wipe. Static Prison. How did I miss that? That's a good card. I didn't even look at what they milled. I'm such a sloppy player. Okay, yeah. They milled a bunch of stuff. They got the Ajani back, right? I didn't miss that, did I? Oh, they got Felly back. Yeah, Felia is not the worst. I mean, she's good for sure, but she's not going to do devastating things to us right now. She's going to ultimately flip the Overlord. All right, so Borrower does answer Felia for a turn. I think that's the key thing here. So I'm going to attack him with everything, and then I'm just going to bounce Felia back to hand when she most likely comes out to try to chump one of these. Bowmasters. No. Well, this is bad news. I was almost certain that they were going to play. They can kill our Bowmasters, of course. They're still going to take one, but it doesn't actually affect our hand that much. Okay, so we've got a 4/5 coming. You're going to chump probably. Yeah. All right. So that is worse for us than Felia would have been. However, we do have the Psychic Frog, which is quite good. And next turn, we'll be able to bounce Felia. Psychic Frog can pitch Spell Bomb, which does address Overlord. Especially if they have a second Overlord, then things get really out of control. If you haven't seen this card before, I've got a deck that makes heavy use of it that also plays Felia. Felia and Overlord, they're like peanut butter and banana. That's what Elvis Presley ate. He didn't eat jelly. He ate banana. Okay, Sand Scout. Yeah, I mean, that gives you a clue. I'm not convinced this is a good card. I think it's kind of janky. But yeah, you get a 1/1. I don't know. This is definitely better than the one creature that searches your deck. This is a creature of yore that nobody can play anymore because Bowmasters was printed as a 1/1. 1/1. I can't remember the name of it, but basically, oh yeah, that sucks. Yep, but I'm happy that you're doing that to that instead of my frog, which is going to go crazy next turn. Actually, now I'm really inclined to just jam the Murktide. They're not crazy enough to attack. All right. So the great news is we don't have to worry about Felia this turn because they tapped out. A common play pattern is to play Felia in end step. That's a good pickup. I think we can both Spellbomb and Murk here. Let's think about this. So we only have two things in our graveyard. We're not going to be able to Murk and give Flight. I'm not sure what to do here. I think we do want to Murk though. It's like a big game piece that deals a lot of damage. It pairs well with Frog. If we attack with Frog, they do get a ping. I think I'm actually kind of thinking just attack with Frog without giving it Flight and see what they do. If they multi-block, I will pitch cards. The other thing is, Nethergoyf is not bad. Maybe Nethergoyf is the play. I'm going to see what they do when I attack. See if they give us a card. It does give them a token if they let it through. Okay, that's fine. All right, and now I think we Nethergoyf. Nethergoyf is going to be a 6/7. That's ridiculous. And that should do a lot of damage. They can create counters. We could Murktide this turn and then Nethergoyf next turn. We can Murktide and Spellbomb. I like that. Because if they have a second Overlord, we can stuff the ability. Murktide, and we're just going to go land, land, land. Stuff that they have in their, they have instant. Actually, they have sorcery. They don't have sorcery, but it's okay. Nethergoyf doesn't have to be that big. I do want my Murktide to be 5/5 at least. And then I'll just play this out. Just in case they have an Overlord, I can stop them from getting some value out of it. It does involve me discarding. This does put another... well, no. Actually, it doesn't put a new type. It's unlikely that I'm going to want to now spell them just because they have... just because the graveyard is helping Nethergoyf is what I'm trying to say. So we have an in-step Felia coming for sure. And I definitely want to keep up mana for that. So because this is going to come into play anyway. I mean, we could Nethergoyf. Oh, they're kind of like priced into blocking. I'm going to go ahead and attack here. I'm going to attack with both. Actually, if I attack with all three, is it a force block? 3. And I can draw a card. Yeah, they pretty much have to block. I think I'm going to go like this. Just terrify them. Here's Felia. We knew that was coming. She's good. Okay. Now what I want to do is I do think I want to bounce her. But this does mean that my frog is no longer lethal. Do we want to stick a Goyf or do we want to draw a card for frog? We'll see what they do here. Okay. They're putting a damage on Sand Scout, which doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, if we draw a card off Spell Bomb, that does create a blocker. It's going to be so greedy of them to not block. Okay, yeah. All right, that is fine. I think we just do that, and then I'm going to drop another Goyf. And I'm going to hope they don't have a sweeper. There's only 2/3 now, but it can grow. And it can become a 3/4 at a moment's notice with Spell Bomb. So they're going to have a big blocker, but it shouldn't matter unless they have removal for both of these. They're going to have to be able to remove this, and I can bring in my Borrower. But Borrower is pretty weak because we suspect they have like a ton of Bowmasters. Anyway, we won the match. That is a unique deck. I love Overlord. I love Felia. I'm going to play some of that. But we did do 2 leagues today, like both of the videos you watched. We 4-1 one, we 3-2 the other. I think previous league, the match we lost was to a tempo deck. They were playing like with Delver of Secrets, so they were even more into tempo than we were. And that was a really good game. Even spoiler alert, we lost it. I just mentioned we lost it. But if you want to see some tempo on tempo action, that'll be the video that came out just before this one. But overall, this list feels incredible. Like losing to the broken tier deck that's going to get banned out of existence, not bad. Like again, we don't really have. I mean, we're playing 3 of these now spell bombs. That's like what our plan is against them. We could have, a surgical perhaps. I do kind of think that surgical might be better than a Thoughtseize here. Or I don't know. I mean, like maybe we do take out Shoot the Sheriff and we just don't need the additional removal. Bowmasters were great. It did come in at least one of those matches. I'm happy to keep Bowmaster. Bowmaster, you continue to earn your spot on the team. Nethergoyf continued to overperform. I think we saw Nethergoyf connect a lot, get really big, come back out of the grave, just like this one drop that won't die. I love it. I love thematically, just like the notion of this thing just stalking you forever. And it's just terrifying looking. It looks like a Pinky Demon from Doom, but even more terrifying. Yeah, I love it. So I hope you enjoyed watching this tempo. I am torn between playing this and playing something like this, which this is not the exact list I'm going to play, but this is the list that I personally like. Here, let me see if I can show you what it looks like. See if MTG adjusts. Yeah, so I'm not going to be playing Meddling Mage, by the way. I'll actually make the changes that I would make to this. So I'm going to add Bogart, Trawler, great main deck answer to reanimation targets being in their graveyard, and tutorable off Recruiter of the Guard, and it just helps the land count a little bit. Bogart. So I'll grab that. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Like I know it's not related to the video that you're currently watching, but assuming you like just generally watch my channel and you're like, cool, I wonder what Be Excellent's doing. Maybe you're interested in this. The other card is Witch Enchanter. I found that these were just really good. And I was skeptical because like paying 3 life and it's a non-basic that only taps for 1 mana, but being able to get it off Recruiter of the Guard, Witch Enchanter makes it so you don't have to play Skyclave Apparition, and Bogart Trawler just makes it like, what would you be playing instead of this? Probably like a main deck Very Macabre, and I will continue to pronounce it macabre, even though everybody pronounces it macabre. Sorry, because that's how it's pronounced in French, and it's a French word. Let's see, what else am I going to do here? Like, I think like the one of days has been great for me. Like, just nobody expects the one of days in the 80 card deck. And a lot of people might look at that and like, see, that doesn't feel right. Why are you doing that? But like, it's basically, it's almost like a force of will, because people are always like assuming you don't have it, rightfully so, who would play it. But the one of days is just something you can include in a lot of decks. Makes your deck a little bit better. But yeah, this is the list, and this is what I'll be playing in the next video, because it's awesome and I love it. And it's performed great for me in paper. Like, I'm just like blown away everything in paper. Now on MTGO, there's a lot more clicking. There's a lot more combo decks on MTGO. I think paper meta is, it's up in the air as to whether Eternal Weekend is going to be more like MTGO. If Eternal Weekend is going to be more like MTGO, absolutely play Blue Black Tempo. If you're considering going to Eternal Weekend, leave a comment below and tell me like what you think I should play. Should I play the deck that is better against the general field in terms of just being like a more powerful deck, but that runs the risk of going to time? And I play incredibly quickly, but the games are necessarily going to be like 10 turn games. And if my opponent is very slow, like I played against, Beanstalk player the other day, who's a great player, but he does play pretty slow. And it's just like every time I'm passing the turn, okay, that's like another minute where they, draw in and decide what they're going to do and then pass, And if you're playing like 10 turns, if you're playing all 3 games are 10 turn games, then you're almost certainly going to time. The advantage though is like I almost always win game 1 because this deck is just like insanely powerful. It gets to play all the best stuff that the Psychic Frog deck plays. Like it plays for Psychic Frog, it plays for Tamiyo, it's playing for Force, it's playing for Wasteland. It's like it's just the pumped up Omega version of Tempo. And, it is kind of a tempo deck in the sense that it plays the 4 Wasteland and it gets the Vial into play. And suddenly, I don't need mana anymore, so I'll just waste you every turn. There are even versions of the deck that play like Samwise to get the Wasteland back and stuff like that. So I do consider this to be a serious deck. Can it beat the gauntlet of combo decks that you likely face when you sign on the MTGO? Probably not. It's probably going to get smoked by like Oops and stuff like that because it's got 4 Force of Wills, but they're distributed across 80 cards. It does have all the tools in the sideboard. Like I've beaten Ruby Storm with it. I've beaten, Epic Gamble and stuff like that, but it's harder. And another thing that like this can do that most decks can't do is if you can survive to turn 3, you just go get Lavinia and suddenly your combo matchup is a lot better. If you survive to turn 3 against, a land strategy, I mean, this just solos lands, right? This is also a really good anti-combo, and a lot of cantrip decks just don't expect it. They're like, oh, well, if Bowmaster resolves, it sucks. I'm going to take a bunch of damage, but I can still play, right? But no, Hull Breacher says you cannot draw a card that, Echo of Eons you just cast, that, Days Undoing, like a lot of those draw effects, or even just like a Brainstorm. If you Hull Breacher or Brainstorm, the game is functionally over unless they're incredibly ahead already. And also, I love the art. Look at that guy's face. He's just so happy to be grabbing that loot right from the ship. Like, who would store the ship that close to the side? Like, it would go into the sea, right? But, like, no, it just reaches in like a piñata and grabs that yummy golden goodness. I love the expression on his face. He's just like, yeah. He's living his best life. This is, like, the happiest pirate I've ever seen. And I've watched a lot of One Piece. All right, so that's all we're going to talk about today. But I hope you enjoyed these matches. I am having a blast. The list is tight. I don't think there's any changes I would make other than maybe bringing in like, Fairy Macabre or a Surgical. I think Surgical is probably better because you do have the possibility. You do have, so like, let's say hypothetically we took out Shoot the Sheriff and we brought in Surgical. That is something we could do. I don't know, like in paper, I wouldn't play Force Negation. I just don't expect to run in the combo. But, on MTGO, if you don't play Force Negation and you're able to support it, you are crazy because there's just so much combo. I genuinely think so. This is my MTGO board, but like my actual deck would probably be slightly different. It wouldn't play Force Negation. I might actually play a third Hydroblast. Hydroblast is really good right now in paper. And then, Thoughtseize, I mean, it does feed the Goyfs, right? Those Goyfs, they need to get their calories. Look at how skinny that Goyf is. Those muscles, it looks like it's like a sprinter or something. It needs to be buffed up like this guy. This guy's pretty buffed up. Look at those. Even his forearms are like Popeye-like. Anyway, I'll quit joking around. But yeah, like probably just surgical somewhere. I would remove, maybe shoot the sheriff or Longobai. I get rid of one of those and I bring in probably a surgical. And then I think this is probably like in fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I think Longobai is great. Don't get me wrong. How often in the past 10 matches that I played with this deck did I die to Tamiyo? 0. Right. And I think that's the real strength of Longobai is that it can hit planeswalkers. I think what I'm dying to is freaking reanimate. So I'm going to bring in a surgical and then we will call this the list. But I hope you have a fantastic day. Till next time, be excellent to each other. Party on.